Atmanamekam Jagadbijamadyam Niriham Nirakaramokar Yato jayate palyate yena vishvam Tamisham bhaje liyate yatra vishvam Sahana bhavatu sahanam bhunaktu saha viryam karvavahai tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om. Dear students, it's a matter of great joy for all of us to welcome you to Advaita Ashrama. And from today, we are going to start this session of Advaita Amritam. We have named our spiritual retreat as Advaita Amritam, the nectar of Advaita. And we shall be we all have to strive to bring this nectar, Amrit, through the study of a Prakarana Grantha known as Vivekachudamani, which is written by Bhagavan Sri Shankaracharya. We can approach this subject, Vivekachudamani, in two ways. We have two options left to us. One is from the standpoint of erudition, panditya, scholarship. And the second alternative that we have is not to worry about the technical details of Sanskrit language, the erudition and scholarship, not to bother too much about that, and focus on the essential ideas, the grain. These are the two ways in which we can approach this subject. So, our approach is going to be based on what we can learn from this subject, not from the standpoint of erudition and scholarship. सिर्फ पांडित्य को पा करके जीवन में कुछ परिवर्तन नहीं आएगा. We should approach this subject in such a way that how is it going to matter your life and my life? How is it going to bring about a change in my life? If the study is not going to impact my life, if it is not going to impact my thoughts, if it is not going to influence my behavior, then that study is futile. It doesn't have anything. The study should tell upon my behavior. That is the most important thing. When you study this, now what is this study? This study is essentially self-inquiry. The study essentially is we are going to inquire into a profound dimension about which till now most of us have not been introduced. As I see, most of us are all new to this area of Advaita Vedanta. And Advaita Vedanta is essentially an inquiry into truth. What is the ultimate reality? What is actually existing? And who I am. Everything will finally boil down to this one point. Who I am. Now please tell me, can there be any subject more interesting and fascinating than the subject which introduces our true nature to ourselves? We are going to be introduced to our own true nature. You can study physics, you can study biology, you can study AI. All these things are something distinct from your own self. Our school and college education, they tell us about everything other than our own self. Advaita Vedanta is that which deals with our own true self. So here essentially the question is, essentially, I'm using this word with some emphasis. Here essentially the knowledge is hovering around one thing. Who I am. My gone. This is the biggest mystery in the creation. You may know everything, but if you don't know your own self, you have not known anything. This is the great conclusion of our rishis. You may know everything, but if you have not known your own self, you have not known anything. In fact, apart from the knowledge of the self, everything else comes under the category of ignorance. It's a very sweeping observation and statement. Apart from the knowledge of self, when I use the term self, I am referring to Atma-Gyan, the knowledge of one's own true self. Apart from the knowledge of one's own true self, all other knowledge comes in the category of ignorance or Agyan. So that is the great revealing information given to us by the great rishis. So Atma-Gyan ही ज्ञान है, बाकी सब अज्ञान है. सुनने में थोड़ा सा कष्ट होता होगा हमें. हम तो ज्ञान अर्जन के लिए स्कूलों में जाते हैं, कॉलेजों में जाते हैं, लेकिन ये जो भौतिक ज्ञान जो है उसका स्थान है, उसका महत्व भी है, लेकिन भौतिक ज्ञान प्राप्त करने मात्र से ही मनुष्य के समस्याओं का समाधान नहीं होता. Only by acquiring empirical knowledge or the knowledge of this what we are seeing through our sense organs, the problems of the human being or the living soul is never going to be solved. That problem is going to be solved only and only when you come to know who you are. And this knowledge is not just knowledge, bookish knowledge. Now, what we are going to do is nothing bookish. This is a very important point. It has to end up in experience. This inquiry starts from a very basic level, and finally, in which, when we start, we take the help of a book, we take the help of all external paraphernalia, but finally it has to end up in direct experience of one's own true self. That alone can put an end to all our problems, existential problems. Now, Shankaracharya, Bhagwan Shankaracharya will beautifully touch upon these very vital issues, which will all be hovering around this one point as to who I am. So let us go slowly into the subject. That is what I mean by self-inquiry. So the daily schedule of the retreat has been chalked out to give ample scope for the 3 steps involved in the process of self-inquiry. So when we are inquiring into our own self, if you want to know who you are, to do this, there is a time-tested method. A time-tested methodology which will take you to the experiential understanding of who I am. And what is that method? The time-tested method is a 3-step process. And the 3 steps involved in this wonderful process is Shravanam, Mananam, and Nididhyasanam. We shall see slowly what this Shravanam is, what Mananam is, what Nididhyasanam is. If we follow these 3 steps earnestly, with all sincerity, as we are supposed to do it, if we follow it, you see, we will begin to head towards an experiential understanding of our own true nature. This is bound to happen. This is a time-tested method given to the entire humanity by our great rishis. This is the method of the Upanishads. You all have heard the term Upanishads? Upanishads, they are the very source of all spiritual wisdom. These are some basic things I am telling you. All the spiritual wisdom is in the Upanishads. Upanishads, they are all nothing but the experiences of rishis, those who have come face to face with the ultimate reality. They have experienced the ultimate reality and they have given it to the entire world. So now they have done it. They know how to reach that. And it is this method of 3 steps, Shravanam, Mananam and Nididhyasanam. It is their prescription. And it is unfailing. It is time-tested. From timeless past, this method has been adopted by every seeker of truth, and people have come to an experiential understanding about one's own true nature. So these are the important things. So what we are going to do in the next 10 days is we are going to inquire into one's own true self. It's a penetrating investigation into this one datum. And what is this datum? I. It is a penetrating investigation into one datum. We are all experiencing I, is it not? There is no one here who is not. I is the very foundation of our identity and personality, is it not? Our personality stands on this I factor. Whenever we are doing anything, we are thinking anything, everything proceeds from this I, a very important datum, is it not? I will do this, I will do that, I will go to Mayavati, I will attend the spiritual retreat. How did you reach here? The starting point was all I. Everything is based on this I. Now, we are confused about the meaning of this I. This is the big problem. Presently, we have a set idea about I, which we have never questioned. Now we start questioning our present idea of I. Is it really the correct idea of I? Or is there any other meaning to this term called I? This is the question. Question is who I actually am, or what is the correct meaning of this I. Presently, I means we have taken it for granted. Unquestioningly, we have taken it for granted. I means what? This gross body. Is it not? Presently, in our present state of awareness, what do we understand by I? We don't even think. Our idea that I am this is not the result of thinking. It is there. It is just existing. We are born with this idea that I means this. This means this gross body. And the moment we talk about the gross body, then there is a male body, then there is a female body, and all the chemistry starts from there. Is it not? So at the root of our existence stands this I factor. So we are now going to initiate a penetrating investigation into what this I is. What does it mean? Am I just limited to this body? Or do I have some other dimension which is presently not known to me? My question is, am I really limited to this gross body, or do I have another dimension which is presently not known to me? That is the quest. So we all need to remember one thing. We are all here as seekers of truth. When you do this investigation, your frame of mind should be just like a scientist's frame of mind. Is it not? A scientist wants to know what the truth is. Similarly, we are also here, and we should sit with that kind of a frame of mind which is a mind which is wanting to know the truth, which is wanting to seek the truth. So we are all seekers of truth. This frame of mind is very important in Vedanta. हम लोग सब यहाँ पर सत्यान्वेषी हैं. सत्य की अन्वेषणा करने के लिए हम लोग यहाँ पर एकत्रित हुए हैं. हमें जानना है कि सत्य क्या है. I want to know what the truth is. Who am I? और इस प्रक्रिया में श्रवण, मनन, निधिध्यासन, ये 3 ऐसे steps हैं in and through which we shall be finally coming to a different understanding about one's own self. It's a wonderful development waiting to happen in every human being's life. It's an amazing development just waiting to happen in every human being's life. It's only a matter of time. Once you institute this investigation, something amazing is waiting to happen in your life, in my life. And this is the best thing to happen. So we do it through Shravanam, Mananam, and Nididhyasanam. So what is Shravanam, Mananam, and Nididhyasanam? I will talk about that little later. What we are going to do in the class is Shravanam. Shravanam literally, I'll talk about it in detail later. I'm just touching upon that point. Shravanam means you are listening. Shravanam, you're listening, you're hearing. What are we going to hear? We are going to hear the words of Shastras and the Guru. Shastra Vakya and Guru Vakya. And it has to be heard in a certain frame of mind. I will talk about it later. And once you listen to the words of the scriptures, you have to then do deep thinking. You have to reflect upon what you have heard. You understand? It's reflection. You have to then start a new thinking process based upon what you have heard from the scriptures and the Guru. It's an amazing development. I will talk about it in detail a little later. So Shravanam should be followed by Mananam. So whatever we are studying in the classroom here, you are listening to these things very attentively. You're trying to grasp some basic foundational ideas. And based upon those ideas, you start or you initiate a new mental process. It is a new kind of a Manasa Vyapara. A Manasa Vyapara in which now that Manasa Vyapara has got a clear-cut direction. Presently, does our mental activity have any fixed direction? If you just now see, we are all going to touch upon very experiential facts of our everyday life. We shall be discussing experiential facts of every human being's everyday life. If you just look into a human being's mind and the way the mind functions, in that you will find that the human mind's functioning is actually speaking directionless. It doesn't have any fixed direction. It doesn't have a fixity. It is directed in many directions. It is now going in this direction, then another direction. In the evening, it is in another direction. We are aimlessly just moving around in different directions. Now, Mananam is that unique mental process which is generated by Shravanam, in which you have got one direction alone, a clear-cut direction. And that direction is towards what? As I said in the beginning, which will take us towards understanding who I am. It is a focused, one-pointed, penetrating activity of the mind directed towards knowing the true nature of one's own true self. It's an amazing development. That is what is Manana. So you see, every day after the Shravanam sessions, you have to give some time to do this penetrating thinking process, which is known as Manana. So after every class, you will have around 1.5 hours to sit quietly and do this Mananam process. Now, a very important point for all of us to practice. I know this will be slightly I don't think so. You're all young people and you have come on your own, so you will be doing it happily and cheerfully. This is not an imposition. We are doing it gladly. The practice of maunam, silence. It is very vital in self-inquiry. Maunam means refraining from unnecessary talk. I should say that you should not talk. Of course, I know sometimes we have to talk something, but only talk when it is really essential. Talk only when it is actually essential, when you have to really communicate something to get certain things done. Otherwise, I would say just refrain from talk. This is a very important point. In Vivekachudamani itself, Bhagwan Shankaracharya says, Yogasya prathamam dwaram vang nirodha. This Vani's nirodha. Vang nirodha means, these are all tremendous practices, my dear children, I'm telling you. If you take these practices seriously, you can see what wonderful fruit it brings about in our day-to-day life. The qualitative change which it can bring about. As I said, see, we are not going to approach this study from scholastic standpoint, from academic standpoint. No, academics don't take us anywhere. Academics, you just leave it in schools and colleges. In ashramas, it is not academics, it is practice. Certain very foundational, life-transforming ideas. They are like just seeds, seeds which when sowed, it fructifies in the form of amazing development which is waiting to happen in every human being's life. So we are going to approach the subject from that standpoint, not from the academic standpoint or scholastic standpoint. This is very important. I make this point very clear. So Maunam, it's a very important practice in spiritual life. Just imagine, as long as your energies are getting scattered through unrestrained speech, you are just giving free vent to all kinds of thoughts which are rising in your mind. How do we give vent to all the thoughts? You give vent to your thoughts through your organ of speech, is it not? Speech means what? Whatever is going on inside the mind, it's coming out in the form of words and speech, is it not? No, as long as this is going on in an unrestrained manner, tell me, how can you do mananam? How can then your mind be controlled? How can you turn the direction of your mental activity from outside to inside? As long as your thoughts are freely getting expressed through your vocal organ, how is it possible for your mind to be directed towards this wonderful inquiry into one's own true self? It is not going to happen. That's why I see great rishis, they tell the first doorway to yoga. Yoga means what? Going back to our own true source. What is our true source? It is still not known to us, my dear children. Now that is the inquiry and that is the investigation. That is the penetrating investigation into who I am. So going back to one's source is what is yoga. And opposite of yoga is bhoga. When all of our energies are always going outside, it ends up nowhere. On this direction, your energies can go and go and go and go and go endlessly. But unless it is given a different turn, inward turn, we shall never come to know what our true nature is. To do that, the first step, Bhagwan Shankaracharya says, is maunam, vang nirodham. So this maunam should be taken very seriously. For the next 10 days, this will be a very important component of your daily life here in the ashrama. Now you are living in the ashrama. And I always say, so many batches, they come here and they are introduced to Advaita Vedanta and Mayavati Advaita Ashrama. I always tell all the batches, you see. See, once you go back home, you have no other alternative other than talking and interacting. Here you have a chance to practice maunam and nobody will object. If you go back home and if you keep silence, you know what is going to be the reaction in your family. Is it not? Your family members, they will get irritated. You see, this child is not talking anything. But they don't understand why you're not talking. Is it not? It's very difficult. Outside, to do these things becomes a bit challenging. So here you have 100% scope for experimenting this. I'm asking you to experiment it. So experiment it. Here you have the opportunity, a beautiful ambience. The Prakriti itself is so silent here. Look at the silence. Silence itself is so loud. The silence in Mayavati is so loud. It is something to be experienced. The more and more your mind sinks into the silence, I'm telling you that these are all experiential facts. That's why I told you, we are not going to approach this subject theoretically. You will be experimenting what is going on inside you. The more and more your mind sinks into the waters of silence, let it sink, let it sink, let it sink. You will be coming closer to your own true nature. That's the point. You understand? For the next 10 days, you have to do this experimentation. So to do Shravanam, Mananam and Nididhyasanam, a very inseparable and indispensable practice is the practice of refraining from speech. Mauna. So I hope you will do it. This is not an imposition from outside. You should be gladly welcoming it, and you should be eager to do it by your own self. Nobody is going to monitor you. I'm not going to tell you. But I hope that as earnest seekers of truth, young seekers of truth, you should take this practice seriously. This I expect. That will do good to you. You will benefit from it. You will see the joy of silence. It's an amazing thing. There's a saying, silence is golden. And really it is golden. The more and more we practice silence, you see what a tremendous sense of, a different kind of a sense of fulfillment and a sense of joy can be tasted in and through the practice of silence. When we are continuously, unnecessarily talking, we will never be able to taste what is inside us. All these things are going to be touched in this book now. This who I am. Now, this is going to be the main focus for the next 10 days. And I'm telling you, this is an amazing investigation. You will see it for yourself. By the time we end up in 4th, 5th, 6th days, you will see where we have landed up. How Shankaracharya ji, Bhagavan Shankaracharya, very systematically takes us, just like a mother holding the hand of a child and guiding the child to walk. Like that, this great Rishi will take us, holding our hand and making us stand face to face with that supreme reality, which is your own true self. You will see it for yourself. Provided you do what you're supposed to do and you refrain from those things which you're not supposed to do. So that is the reason we emphasize these two practices. Practice of Maunam and refraining from the use of mobile phones for the next 10 days. So do not bring out your mobile phone. Just leave it in your rooms. I hope you all will take it seriously. So we pray to the Supreme Divinity to shower His grace, Anugraha, on every member of this retreat so that he, she can uplift himself, herself, and rediscover oneself in a new light. Om Tat Sat. Something about this Advaita Ashrama, a little bit. This Advaita Ashrama was started by Swami Vivekananda in 1899. About Swami Vivekananda, you all have been introduced. Anyone not knowing about Swami Vivekananda here? Everybody knows. What Bhagwan Shankaracharya did 1200 years ago, Swami Vivekananda did the same thing now in the modern times. You may say he is the modern Shankaracharya. Exactly. Both these great masters, their mission was to give this nectar of Advaita to the entire humanity. Because this Advaita is the only thing which can save humanity. It may sound a bit fanatic and dogmatic when I make this statement, but this is not an exaggeration. This is not an exaggeration. No other system can do. Especially the way the people practice the different religions in the world, they cannot do. It is this Advaita is the only system which can save the humanity. Why? It will become clear. Because this is pure science. All the religions of the world as they are practiced today, they are all belief systems. You are asked to believe something. Some God who is existing up in the sky, beyond the clouds, beyond the heaven, and He's ruling the world from there. All these ideas we have, After death, you will be going there. Then there is a heaven is there is a hell is there. Then the God sitting there, a bearded man who will be casting you either into the hell or to the heaven. Swami Vivekananda says these are good for kindergarten children. These ideas, these fantastic ideas, these are all good for small school-going children, but not for the mature, grown-up people. A mature human being is a person who cannot just believe in anything just like that. If what you're believing in, if it is not verifiable, then it is a big question. Can we verify the God sitting up in the sky beyond the heavens and all those things? It is not verifiable. Advaita Vedanta talks about a reality which is not an imagination, but which can be verified by everybody. You can see now what we are going to study. Every single teaching or the idea which is going to be placed before us by this great master, every single teaching means every single point is verifiable. You can verify, I can verify. Anybody, no matter which religion that person is practicing. A Hindu can verify it, a Muslim can verify it, a Christian can verify it, an American can verify it, a Chinese can verify it, anybody can verify it. Because it's a pure science of the self. It is talking about an existential reality which is throbbing in the heart of every living creature, which is the only reality which is actually existing. Now we are going to come to some very essential and profound ideas. It is introducing us to one reality which is actually existing and a reality which is not imaginary. A reality which is experiential, which can be experienced by everybody. That's why Vivekananda had said this Advaita is the only system of the future generations. As we are living in the age of science, our religion also has to be scientific. If it is not scientific, it is not going to appeal to the modern man. That's why Advaita is the only system which is going to be the future religion of humanity. Swami Vivekananda's great statements. Anyhow. So Vivekananda started this ashram in 1899. You all know that Swamiji had gone to America in 1893. Huh? What do you know about him? What did he do in America?
In Chicago, there was a religious conference at Chicago.
Yes.
There he delivered about Sanatana Dharma and what
Exactly. See, in the modern times, it is Vivekananda who kept before the entire world the glory of this great Sanatana Dharma and the glory of Bharat. Two things I always tell my dear children, remember that. Everybody should know the glory of our land, our motherland. This is the most unique country on the planet, our motherland. Be proud about it. Swamiji was a person who was proud, Bharatiya, an Indian, and proud Sanatana Dharma. His only one mission was to place this great idea of Sanatana Dharma before the entire humanity. We Indians had lost our self-confidence in our own self. We had lost our, a sense of pride and respect about who we are. It is Vivekananda who brought it back. So anyway, that is a different story. So when Swami Vivekananda came back from America, it was in 1896. 1897 he reached India, but on the way he went to Europe. On the way back to India from America, he went to Europe, in Switzerland, in Swiss Alps. So seeing the Swiss Alps, there also the snowy mountains are there. So seeing those snowy mountains, Swamiji visualized that he should have one ashram on the lap of the Himalayas. Seeing the Swiss Alps, the snow-covered alpine mountains, he was reminded about Himalayas. And he expressed his wish to his disciples that I should have one ashrama in the lap of the Himalayas. That is how. I'm not going into the details of that story. Finally, this ashrama came into existence in 1899. In 1896, he had expressed his wish, and in the next 3 years, in 1899, in March 1899, this ashrama was started here on the lap of the Himalayas. From here, you can see 380-kilometer range of Himalayas. Actually, now it is all covered because of the monsoon season. Otherwise, if the clouds are cleared, we have a dazzling view of Himalayas from here. 380 kilometers of Himalayan range is dazzlingly visible from here. Amazing scenery we have. And Swami Vivekananda dedicated this ashram completely to the practice and preaching of Advaita Vedanta alone, exclusively. This ashrama is dedicated to the practice and preaching of Advaita and Advaita alone. Here, no dualistic method is allowed or permitted. He was very emphatic in his vision, very clear in his vision. That's why you see in this ashram there is no temple. There is no temple, there are no forms, no rituals, no ceremonies, anything. There is only Om. This is another thing. What is the meaning of this Om? We shall look into it. The entire reality is packed into this one sound called Om. These are the great mysteries of this creation itself. Anyway, we shall come to that point slowly. So this is what is Advaita Ashrama, which was started by Vivekananda with the intention that this ashrama is dedicated to the practice and preaching of Advaita and Advaita alone. And this has been going on for the last 127 years. It is 127 years old ashram. Can you imagine? For the last 127 years, this beautiful ashrama has been existing and it has been doing its job silently. So, this is about this Advaita Ashrama.